With that, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Jimmy Nguyen. His talk is on farm food safety for organic grower. Dr. Nguyen focused on improving food safety quality for organic produce system. His research support organic grower by developing alternative to chemical sanitizer fumigation while strengthening the preventive food safety strategies in the field and in post-harvest. Dr. Jimmy, you want to get yourself started?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So, hello everyone. My name is Jimmy Nguyen, and I'm a food safety and organic production advisor with the office of UCCE serving Imperial and Riverside County. And today I'm gonna talk about an overall on-farm food safety overview for organic grower. So, when Hưng tell me to coming up with this talk, he wanted me to cover eight topics, like from the contamination sources, worker health, hygiene, water management, all the way to record and SOP and safety plan. I think to myself, oh my God, this is like the entire produce safety rules training in 45 minutes. So usually this is a 2-day event, and you go to all of this topic one by one, and each topic usually costs 1 hours. So, but however, I'm grateful to have his challenge to cover all of these eight topic. So my strategy will be just give you the most important risk in each of these eight topics, and then with that, the best practice. That's it. So I will not go into every detail of each of the topic because, like I mentioned, it's 2-day training. But I give with you what you should looking for and what is the best practice to mitigate some of these biggest risks in the field. So without further ado, let's go to the first one. Why is it matter? So the reason why, food safety in both organic and conventional setting matter because one foodborne outbreak happens, it causes human life, business, and job loss. For example, on your screen is three of the biggest foodborne outbreak and their devastating consequences. In 2006, there's a spinach E. coli outbreak, and the total loss of both human life, business, and job is around $350 million for just one event. So within the victim, there's 100 hospitalization and 3 confirmed death. 2 years later, there's a salmonella outbreak in tomato or pepper, with an estimated around $250 million in losses. With that, it's 286 hospitalization and 2 possibly death. One of the biggest business loss was reported in 2003 with the GG restaurant chains with their hepatitis A outbreak. And CDC documented a last multi-state outbreak with 100 of case and death. So consequently, GG filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in October 2003. And this is one of the biggest business loss due to an outbreak. So again, remember, if anything, remember this foodborne outbreak caused human life, business, and job loss. All right. So let's talk about the main ideas that going through um, the entire food safety principle in the farm. If anything you want to take away from this presentation is this: prevent cross-contamination. Let me paint a big picture for you. Let's say you start in the field in the beautiful morning harvesting your fresh produce, right? At this point, the produce is pretty safe, it's pretty fresh. However, the worker who harvesting this produce, let's say there's one colleague getting sick that day, there's one colleague going to the toilet and forgetting to clean his hand, and another one forget to change his boot where he just used to feeding the cattle in the nearby cattle pens. And suddenly that seemingly clean produce was contaminated. And by the time it reached the packing house, the piece of produce will be cleaned in this cleaning tanks, which is very popular in any packing house or packing shed. And water is a perfect environment for spreading the germs and pathogen and bacteria. Now, just one box of contaminated produce spreading to the water and contaminated the entire day of harvesting, but you cannot see it. The only way to see it is using an microscopic, in this case, devices in this case. And by the time it's reached the market, it will be too late. And the most vulnerable target in this case is usually young or elderly population. So remember, we're not gonna be fixing the issues when it by the time it's reached the market. Every time everything start from the beginning. Sorry. For some reason, it's still showing the demographic post. Anyway, moving on. All right. And the reason why I mentioned that story, because if you're looking at this graph, every components, every piece of this moving machine within this agriculture's production is like a piece of a spider web. It's not present isolated, but intertwined in this web. Anything can cause the cross-contamination to the fresh produce that you have. Let's say humans, for example, I just mentioned worker and visitor who touch produce without proper hygiene. The water that you use to wash your produce is contaminated. Animal intrusion, a flock of birds just fly through your open field and then defecated on the produce. And if you not pay attention enough and harvesting that produce, by the time it go to the washing tank, it will spread everywhere. Soil. For example, you're using raw manure without proper treated or composting process. Equipment, harvesting beans or toast um, without proper everyday washing and hand sanitizing, and you keep using the same toast over and over again, it will recontaminated or cross-contaminated the fresh produce that you harvesting the next day or the next batch, so on and so forth. So remember, every component in this spider web can cause the cross-contamination, and it is our job to prevent all of this cross-contamination. And then I will tell you what to do to dealing with the cross-contamination for each of these elements. Let's talk about the first element, humans. So the food safety researcher has done many study and why we see foodborne outbreak in such a strict and very hard system like in the US, but most of the time the majority is coming from human error, right? It's rarely caused by, animal intrusions or anything else. Most of the time, it's caused by human error. So humans is your created access is also present the created risk in your farm because human can carry the foodborne pathogens without they noticing, and then can cross-contaminate everything from the tool that they use, the clothes that they wear, to the produce that they harvest. So sort of the risk in this case is you in your farm you there's a poor or absence of hand washing station. This is not enough hand washing station. And OSHA, for example, the work safety agency had stated that you need one washing station every half a mile of your field. So having a adequate hand washing station will help prevent the cross-contamination from humans. The second one is sick worker handling produce. And we understand as a worker, we need to work and earn money to support our family. And just one day stay at home will impact, very significantly for our livelihood. But if you see your worker having like flu symptom, diarrhea symptom, vomiting, thing like that, send them home. And then, let them work in other time, because that is one of the major source for the cross contamination. Also, like I mentioned, lack of field or toilet facility, improper way of using glove. This is interesting because when we using glove, we think that we are safe and we are clean. However, that is not the case. When you wearing glove and then you touching, produce and then touching the harvesting tools and so on and so forth, you actually promote the cross-contamination. So if you're using glove, make sure that you use them properly. For example, if you're wearing like one-time use glove and then there is dirt, visible dirt, or there is a break in the glove, just discard it and use another one. If you use reusable glove, make sure that you wash the reusable glove the way you wash your hand, right? So if you're using glove, know how to use them properly. Lack of training. So this is important because sometimes this is sometimes farm owners and managers, if they are too uh, small in the side, this is what's undermining because they don't have enough resources in terms of time and money to have proper training every season. They have to divert their resources to more important tasks. However, the lack of trainings will, affect the entire process. Let's say worker when they ill or they have injured, they don't know how to handle in this situation, and proper training will go a long way. Also, lack of reporting mechanism. Some of the thing, worker they observe on the field, but if there is some tension or if they feel intimidated when they want to report something, that will prevent them to pushing that the observation to you, and then you ended up missing this important read. So what is the best practice in this case? So scheduling refreshing training section, ideally before every harvesting season, which means probably one in every quarter. So instead of having like a big, heavy training, break it down into multiple refreshing training session will have. Um, and then remember washing hand, and washing hand. Just a simple act of washing hand will fix 80% of your problem. Designated a separate eating area, because some of the when you eat and drink near the field, your saliva is also a vector of transmitting the foodborne pathogens. So having a separate eating, resting area, provided and prepared glove, like I mentioned, daily house screening, send home sick worker on the day. It's not worth it. Then you should not risk it. And also having a friendly buddy system for reporting. So that is for the first element of worker health and hygiene. Let's go to agriculture water. So if you go through the produce safety alien training, there's gonna be two elements of water using in agriculture: the production water and the post-harvest water. If we talking about the production waters, the first step is always assessing your risk. You have to know your sources, either where's your water coming from? Is it certified well? Is it coming from an open pond or water canals? Know your sources and test that water. So you need to know a baseline, right? You don't have to do it at frequent, but you need to know at least the quality of it. If you use municipal water, no problem. It's already guaranteed. But if you're using other sources like wells, underground waters, or open canal, you need to know at least the baseline, right? What is there in your water? So test it at least um, once a year. That is the minimum recommendation. Also know the difference between different irrigation methods. So between drip and surface. So drip irrigation is the lower risk because for the drip line, it was buried under the ground. So it's away from the harvesting or edible part of the crop versus all open sources survey. For example, you have overhead sprinkler or you using a flooded irrigation method, it present a higher risk because now with water and overhead sprinkler or flooded irrigation method is spread everywhere. So best practice, avoid overhead spray on edible portion. For post-harvest water, only use potable or treated water for washing, and it is required by the rule. So recommended using municipal water, um, maintaining proper sanitizer level in washing water. If you remember the pictures that I show you, even though let's say you have one or two pieces of produce contaminated, but if you have a proper sanitizer level in the water, in the washing tank, it will help prevent the spreading of the bacteria because when the bacteria was released in the water, it was killed by the sanitizer in the water. But one thing though, is usually we using chlorine-based sanitizer, and this was depleted very fast because this is non-specific reactor. They react with everything, mostly the organic content in the water, so it get depleted very fast. So you have to have a way to measure the concentration of the sanitizer in the water. Usually we had a color changing piece of paper that change based on the concentration of the chlorine in the water. And it's very straightforward. It's very affordable. You can buy it on Amazon. That is the one easy way to constantly testing the water to make sure you have a right concentration, because without the right concentration of sanitizer, it doesn't work. But if you had or at or above the right concentration of sanitizer level, it will prevent the cross contamination, period. All right. For the also clean surface before sanitizing, because you cannot sanitize a dirty surface. Again, sanitizer will react with everything. So, so there's two steps: always clean first and then sanitizing. And then remember to change the wash water regularly. Let's say if it's too hot, try to change water at the end of every batch or every ship. Don't use the same water throughout the day because, like I mentioned, by the produce they have a lot of organic content on the surface, and when you put it in the water, you oversaturate the sanitizer. So remember to change the water, reapply the sanitizer, and make sure to have the right concentration of sanitizer. Also, one more thing. Due to the climate change, these days we see the unpredictable weather pattern in California, and flood happen more frequent than in the past. If you had flooded contact produce, this must not be sold. It have to be discarded. And this is other resources like the emergency flood incentive from the state to help with the loss of the produce. But remember, when there's a flood event and it's contact your produce, it would not be sold. So far, so good. Is there any question? All right, let's move on. Soil amendment. Soil amendment. Um, in organic, we use a lot of soil amendment from mostly from the animal origins. However, this represent one of the biggest risks because it's have a Salmonella E. coli from the animal that is coming from. Remember, if you apply too close to the harvest, you have a higher risk. Also, if you store your pile of composting or manure without any proper cover, you will risk having runoff when, let's say, there's a rain, and it will contaminate your clean field. So remember, if you store them in pile, have a proper cover for the pile, and also improperly composting material. Usually, in some case, a farmer have both of their cattle pens and their production field, and most of the time they reuse the manure from their pens to apply to their field. But aging, just simply aging your manure is not enough. It has to go to a proper heat treatment. Usually it's composite, but it have to reach a certain level of temperatures in a certain time. So the safest way is to buy from commercially treated composting material. If you want to do it yourself with your own material, remember this. There is no official guideline from the Produce Safety Alliance on how to apply raw untreated manure. But we have the guideline from National Organic Production Association on how to safely apply the raw manure on your field. If your produce had edible part that contact the soil, the safest interval time to apply raw manure is 120 days before harvesting time. If your crop doesn't have soil contact, then you can apply raw manure 90 days before the harvest time. And if you buy commercial treated compost, you can apply, basically there's no restriction. So looking at the day, 140 days is almost like 4 months. 90 days it's 3 months. So remember that it takes substantial time for this bacteria in this raw untreated manure to be killed under the open condition by the sun, let's say UV from the sunlight, but it takes long time. We do some experiments in on the field, and we saw that if you start with like a loss of bacteria in the raw untreated manure, they do went down to a safe level. However, at least 40 days. So that's why it's explained this 120 and 90 days. It's not randomly selected. This is a result of so many experiments on the field to see how many times that we can bring down the danger number of pathogen into a safe level. So remember, 3 months or 4 months, right? So it takes a lot of time. So the best way is just buy commercially treated soil amendment in this case. And then wildlife and pest management. So if anything, the best practice is to monitor and using some deterring action. So how do you monitor for intrusion from wildlife? Always walk the field before harvest and document everything. If you see wildlife trail, document it. If you see there is feces from the wildlife, so take immediate action, right? Map area where frequent animal activity was observed. Do not harvest produce with fecal contact, and also have a no harvest buffer zone for around that contaminated areas. And as a reminder, the no harvest, there's no regulation that force you to have an exact number, but recommendation is between 0 and 25 foot radius from the contact point. So having this harvest buffer zone is a peace of mind to make sure that you're not harvesting the contaminated produce, So, when you see this, immediate remember of the habit buffer zone.
Hi.
Don't, sorry, go ahead.
Hi, how are you?
Yes,
Good, good, thank you.
go
Yeah.
ahead. Sorry, you have a question?
Sorry? Yeah. Very good.
All right. Is that a question or no?
Okay. Hi.
Yes, I'm here. Did you have a question? All right, for the for the second time, it's just there's no question, and we move on. So keep recorded of everything that you observe to have a proof that you do the right thing. And this is very important for the auditing process if it ever happens. Um, for the corrective actions, right? Consider co-management practice. And it is a very interesting principle. So what is co-management? Co-management means you try your best to adhere to the food safety principle, but at the same time, try to preserve the environment surround your farm as much as possible.
Mm,
So
mm.
um, it's like an act of balance, strive for a balance, not just using, like harsh or extreme
Sorry?
measure.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Annabelle, right? You have a question? Right. Anyway, moving on. So, using in order to deter wildlife, use a more humane approach. For example, you decoy fencing or netting to keep wildlife out. Install visual or noise deterrent. Do not let, if you have working animal on your farm, do not let your domesticated animal, be on the production field. Uh, Also, only do grazing if you do grazing like with sheep um, on the field, not intended for production. Let's say after if you plan to have like a plant rotation, right? And after you harvest your crop, then you can do grazing. And then if they have like, shedding on the field, it's okay. Wait for like 120 days or 90 days until you can plant your crop again. So it is not forbidding to have a grazing activity on your production field. Remember to apply that, interval that I mentioned to maintain the food safety and reducing risk in this case. All right, sanitation and produce handlings. Um, Remember, if anything, just one thing, you cannot sanitize a dirty surface. Cleaning always comes first, right? So what is cleaning? So I just want to remind you like quickly about the difference between cleaning and sanitizing. So cleaning means the physical act of removal of dirt, residue, and debris using water and detergent. Sanitizing is the treatment of the pre-cleaned surface to reduce microorganism to safe level, right? So the best practice in this case is harvest into the clean food grade container, keep produce off the ground after harvest, discard any damaged or visibly contaminated produce, clean and sanitizing bins, knife, and tool daily. I even see harvesting crew sanitizing their knife on the field. They have like a bucket of sanitizer, and after one row, they just dip it in that bucket to kill everything, and then redo it again. And this a simple act of disinfecting their harvesting knife will have significantly reduced the risk on the field. Also, after you harvesting, the produce move to the cold storage quickly because warm or hot temperatures will significantly promote the growth of harmful bacteria. So that is for sanitation and produce handling. All right, let's talk about record keeping SOP farm food safety plan. This is 5 simple step framework to using and implement these acts of making SOP, conducting your record activity, and then making your farm food safety plan. So the first step is always assessing risk, identifying the hazard from your environment. What kinds of water that you use? Does your farm be in a ways of frequently animal activity? Does your workers being properly well trained and provide enough of, let's say, toilet facility, personal protection equipment, so on and so forth? And what kinds of soil that you use? Are you using commercially treated amendment, or you're using raw manure? So all of that, you start with assessing risk for implementation. From this input, you write your SOP, you train your worker based on your SOP, and focus on the high-risk area. Monitoring. After training, you have to schedule tests, field inspection to make sure that all of this SOP would, for in fact, affected, and all of your worker is in fact well trained. Also track sanitation log to see in this sanitation log, always note down the concentration of your sanitizer concentration, the schedule of water training, so on and so forth. Monitoring everything. If anything go wrong, then correct it, right? But don't have, don't go into like a reaction or panic mode. Have everything planned out. Having your, what if plan. Let's say it like, what if thing go wrong, then what should I do? Have everything planned out. What is the resources that I need to do, and who to call, how to get help. Everything planned out. So when things go bad, you have everything ready, and then keeping record of everything from your risk, your implementation of SOP, when things go wrong, so on and so forth, and retain them for 2 years. So again, 5 steps. First, assessing your risk, implement the SOP, train your worker, monitor to see that this SOP was actually in place, your worker was trained, and then also to look for things that go wrong, having a corrective action plan, and then keeping records of everything of that step 1, 2, 3, and 4. Having record will save you in the case you had foodborne outbreak, and then people want to see if you do your part to keep the food safe. Third-party auditing, right? Having this will keep you sleep well at night, and reduce the headache in the future. Preventive control. So in summary, remember the main idea is to prevent the cross-contamination. And the key word is preventive, because we cannot treat and we cannot solve the problem by the time it reached the market. That was too late. But if we prevent every weak link in this, these big pictures, then there will be no problem to be solved. So how to imply the preventive control plan in this case? For example, for your worker, like I mentioned, having a frequent refreshing training every season, ideally before every harvesting season, having hand washing facility within half a mile in your farm, having an illness exclusion policy in writing. So when everyone had illness, you have an instruction on what to proceed, and having health screening at every shift start. For water, know your water, test your water, especially focus on the level of E. coli, because E. coli is a fecal contamination indicator. It doesn't mean that your water is not safe. It's only mean that there's a fecal matter in your water and there's something go wrong. And you have to do something about it, right? So post-harvest sanitizer monitoring daily, especially if you have like a packing house, when you do pack your own produce, then sanitizer concentration monitor is a must. flood response plan written and filed. For amendment, remember two number. If your crop contacting the soil 120 days, if you have crop that doesn't contact the soil, then you need to have 90-day interval before the harvesting day. And you only sort composting from verified supplier and ask for their documentation and keep everything on your record, the day, field, and material used, having a proper storage, like a proper cover, for example, for your composting pile, animal and wildlife, right? Pre-harvesting field walks and document everything, the wildlife intrusion, is there any feces contaminated on the field? Using humane or less harsh occlusion or deter measure, for example, fencing, nesting, having visual or noise deterrent, having a protocol for fecal matter found in the field, establishing a no harvesting buffer zone, and also assessing the adjacent land risk. For example, are your farm located near animal feeding operation or cattle pen in this case? All right. I will stop momentarily to see if any question about anything so far. So far, so good? All right. If no question, then moving on. So here, we talk about, all of these complications, all of this, problem, but how about solution, right? So when I do the needs assessment, talking with, farm managers and farm workers, there's two things that strike me the most is the lack of time, right? Farm managers cannot stay up to date on new food safety drain, outbreak, and recall. And then also the burden of the record keeping complexity, right? Compliance requirements are time consuming and difficult to manage without dedicated tool. So I built two tools that will have addressing the two specific issue. So the first one is a real-time newsletter update from USDA, FDA about food safety. So you can keep up to date with the safety train, outbreak, and recall, so on and so forth. And a farm SOP record generator for you to use, so you don't have to do it manually. So looking at this tool. So if you wanna test it out, you can scan this or using the link on the field. But I just want to show you how this works. Let me just stop the presentation and show you how's the fields look like. Stop sharing. All right, let me share one more time. Are you seeing my my screen right now? Saying yes?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So here is an AI powered food safety newsletter just for people who work in food safety, and they was automatically scraping the news from USDA, FDA, industrial leader to help you stay up to date with foodborne risk. And it was neatly organized in this time. Let's say, is there any recall? Let we search for recall. So here is this recall that happened within this month, and then you can click into to read more, or you can, if you don't have time, you can heart it, and it will be saved in your favorite folder. Let's say, do we have any allergens? Allergy, right? So here is an allergy alert. Let's say if you grow onions. Okay, there's no onion. That means there's no onion related recall or outbreak, which is a good thing. So come check it out. This is a very neat way to keep up to it. And then you see it's updated every 24 hours. So, and there's an AI on the background. It will automatically feeding you with the latest news. And let me show you another one. You sitting this? Say yes. Hello?
Yes, yes.
Oh, all right. So this is an AI power tool that we are um, developing. So what it is a tool to generate the SOP, standard operation procedure for you, all of the record that you need, and also the food safety plan for you. And the neat thing is it's also Duolingo, so it's in Spanish as well. Sorry, just want to confirm. You seeing it changing to Spanish?
Uh-huh.
Yes. All right. So let me show you how this works. So you're starting by setting up your farm profile, and this is a master template. So you doing it one time, and then the AI in the software will automatically generate all of the SOP based on your information. Let's have an example. Let's say you just all of this field that you see right here will be filled automatically if you have that if you have your form set up to begin with. But this is like an SOP, right? And if you're too lazy to type, let have the AI do it for you. Or you can have this, included in your SOP. The AI, which I named Jimmy in this case, it will do everything, and then you can talk with this like you talk with like an assistant. And what neat about this is it was linked to the latest model. I don't own the AI. I just rent it from AI provider like GPT, ChatGPT, or Claude, Anthropic in this case, and it automatically updates into the latest the latest AI models when the provider do that. And another features is review. This is all of the field that you require to fill by the regulation. And when you have all of this, then you can download this, by exporting to your PDF or Word. Another features is the record. Let's say we wanna generating a record to check whether or not all of these tasks were completed. This is for worker hygiene. So this to check, let's say hand washing station location. All of the worker was inspect for hand washing, and so on and so forth. Symptom requiring removal from the field, so on and so forth. And you can adding evidence note, and then you can download your record as well. Another feature of this app is incident record. You can log the incident. Let's say what kinds of SOP, right? Worker and hygiene. You have someone sick in this case. Is it a low, medium, or high risk? How many produce was affected? Let's say someone cut their hand and there is 2 pounds of produce. And later you can set the cost of that. Like if we discard produce, how much is it in terms of dollar values, and then corrective actions. And all of this, you can lock it into this nicely organized dashboard. And you can ask the AI like how many violations you have last month, for example, and then also this economic report. Why do we have this? And let's say you have an incident and then you have to discard like 50 pounds of produce, right? How does it cost you? You have a packing house line and you have to stop it for 2 hours. How many dollar value that it costs you? And then corrective action, you have to retesting the water, you have to retrain your workers. How much does it cost you? So you have all of this at your disposal, and this is all powered by the AI, right? You can talk with it, so on and so forth. Let me stop sharing and go back to this presentation. All right. Again, you can go to the links and test it out. It's already up and going on the online. Yeah, and then as I just mentioned, right? If you're doing SOP by yourself. Either it's manual, you have to input everything by yourself, or it's very wordy. Like this is this example of SOP, very wordy. This doesn't customize to your own farm. So having this intelligent AI powered tool will help you with that. And again, this is the link. If you wanna you can scan it and then come check it out. So if you do everything correctly, here is the result. You can download your SOP, right? And all of this was automatically populated by the AI, and a checklist to check whether or not the SOP was in place. Let's say hand washing location was confirmed, it was completed, it's verified, so on and so forth. You have this SOP and record ready for you to be handed to the auditor. And again, this is also a button index. You can generate your farm food safety plan automatically. And this is the first page of your farm food safety plan. And you can include all of the generated SOP under it. So this is the complete package for your farm food safety plan. All right, with that is the end of my talk. So hopefully I have provided you with the highest risk for all of the component on your farm, the best practice, and also the solution. And now I'm open to any question that you may have.
Thank you, Jimmy. We have a couple questions.